Everybody, welcome to the Chtib and Zhang show. And so today we're a very, very special episode. So as you can see, there's no Chtib. You
Yeah.
know, is it? We're not gonna go in details why he's not here, but let's just say it's the end of the semester. A lot of things are happening, but it's all cool because you know why? Because it's also the end of the NBA season. And
That's
so today we're gonna
correct.
be talking about the NBA playoffs. I don't know if I might just intro something, but I'm not gonna do a roll it. So roll the intro.
There you go.
Everybody, welcome back to the Stim and Zhang show. This is episode, I didn't even check, 60 something, almost 70. I know that. So for the second time in the Stim and Zhang show history, we're gonna be talking about the NBA playoffs. So just shows it's been a while since been doing this show, you know. So this is the second playoffs we're gonna get.
It's
So
true.
as we know, we get brought Gabe. Thank you for coming, Gabe.
No worries.
Our
Anytime. Love to be on the
our,
show.
our NBA analysis or analyst, right?
Also, champion.
Exactly.
Also, champion.
Whatever. But you can have that. Hey, you won it
There
fair
you
and
go.
square.
I got the belt for now.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, I think it was 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Me and Gabe went head to head in a guest a player game, and Gabe won in overtime. Very, very good. Hey, you should watch that
Hey,
episode. Very
yo,
good episode.
it was a great battle. I highly recommend it.
Exactly. So it just goes to show that when it comes to NBA, me and Gabe, we're some of the most like
Yeah.
elite, not elite, but like
Elite. We're elite
we're
competition.
elite.
We
Yeah,
know our stuff.
we know our stuff. There's not
Yeah.
many people that can rival us, so we know our stuff. So with that introduction, today we're gonna be talking about the NBA playoffs. At the time of this recording, it's actually right now we're Thursday, so
Mhm.
we actually don't know who has the 8th seed in both conferences, but we do know that Atlanta won, and we do know that
Yeah.
New Orleans won as well.
Yes.
So with that being said, let's just start off with who we think is going to get the 8th seed. I think by the time this video comes out, we probably might have already a clear picture of who.
I think so. Yeah. I think
won,
games are
but
tomorrow. So if it's not updated by tomorrow, then
exactly. So if you want to start it off, you can go either game. You
sure.
pick.
All right, so we'll start with the East. So Atlanta versus the Cavaliers. See, this is an interesting matchup for me, right? Because you have a really young Cavs team who, despite all the injuries, are in the play-in spot. Honestly, if they didn't get injured, Evan Mobley didn't get injured, Jared Allen didn't get injured, they should be in the playoff spot. But injuries always riddle teams. So yeah. That being said, I have the Cavs winning this game.
Okay.
Right. Hopefully, Jared Allen can be back. There's no really timetable on when he's going to be back or not, but the Cavs organization is hoping for him to be playable by Friday. So if the Cavs can get Jared Allen and some rim protection inside, because versus the Nets, KD, Kyrie Irving literally did anything to that team, right? They went on little runs. Cavs retaliated, but KD was like, nah, give me the ball. I'm making the last 3 shots, and that kind of sealed the game. So if the Cavs can be healthy, have Jared Allen back and Garland and all that team, there's no reason why they should win.
Okay, exactly. So for me, it's a bit closer because as we saw in the Atlanta game against Charlotte, Atlanta showed out. Like we know how good Atlanta can be. They went to the conference finals last year, and they literally have the exact same team as last year. So
legit,
there's no questioning how good they are. I didn't know that them going to conference finals was a bit of a fluke. You could tell, like they're last year, especially they weren't the top team in the East, you know. So, even this year, at the beginning of the year, you can watch the episode. I said I had Atlanta being 7th or 8th seed, which was at the time a pretty hot take, but I said that because I knew how good the East was getting. You like Bulls stacked up, you know, a lot of teams stacked up on their team.
Exactly.
And, I just couldn't see Atlanta making that far, and it has shown so far. Atlanta, they have a really good team, but the thing is, I've always had a love-hate relationship with Trae Young, so I like him. I like him as a player, but not really. I don't think he's good enough to be on a championship, like the best player on a championship team. But for this game, we're not talking about championship, right? We're talking about beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah. Sorry. So I think this is a good matchup because on one hand you have the 2 stars are Darius Garland and Trae Young, 2 point guards, very young point guards. So if I had to pick, I want Cleveland to win, but I think Atlanta might.
Hawks might
Yeah,
really.
but I think it's gonna be a really close game. I really hope Jared
Oh
Allen
yeah,
plays.
it's gonna be.
Yeah, because Jared Allen's very underrated. As we saw this year, he's an all-star. So
Yeah.
just having those guys, I think if Cleveland's fully healthy, I think they can come out with the win. I hope they win because I feel like having Cleveland there, just
True.
they're a good young team, and
Mhm.
like I as much as I like, because the thing with Atlanta is playing in Atlanta, like you get all the rappers and stuff as you saw last year.
Exactly.
In Charlotte, like you have like Jay-Z and everyone coming out to watch the games, But I feel like it'd be nice to see Cleveland there. I think this is a really good young team.
Exactly. I think they deserve it, to be honest with you. Like, during the whole season, 2 All-Stars, All-Star game in Cleveland. Like, they don't win this. And I honestly, I wouldn't say call it a disappointing season, but it would be kind of disappointing because you were pretty much a 60 for the whole season. And then injuries came about and, like, that sucks.
Yeah, what would be disappointing about that series is not the expectation before the season started. It's when the season started.
Exactly.
They got 2 All-Stars in, and then they started dropping after the All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what would be disappointing for sure. But yeah, so we both have like Cleveland pretty much winning, but
but I'll make my case for the Hawks. Hawks are amazing at shooting. They have shooters all around, especially with Capella getting rebounds, second chance opportunities, kicking off for threes. Even the Trae Young pick and roll with Capella creates so much space for Trae Young to do his little floaters, little middies, little scoop layups, pass it out, right? So if they're clicking all cylinders on offense, and as well as playing some defense, the Hawks can make a case. I just think that the defense of the Cavs, and as well as their shooting, just the chemistry as well, because with Atlanta, they've been roller coaster all season, right? They don't really have a firm grip on how to, I guess, play as a team. But if they can clock in just for that one game, I don't see why not the Hawks can win that game as well.
Exactly. So for me too, like that's why I think Jared Allen being in that game is so vital, because obviously they have Clint Capella, right? And Jared Allen, he's a very underrated defender. You always see him, either he blocks someone or he gets posterized, but like just that he's a really good defender. And I'd say he's probably one of the top, maybe not top 5 yet, but definitely like top 6, 7.
He's top 7. He's top 7 centers in the league for sure.
He's one of those centers that like you love to have on your team. Like him, Clint Capella, like just rim rolling.
He's a Rudy Gobert. He's a baby Rudy Gobert.
Gobert, exactly. But he's like he's like those centers that like you can get for like what 15 to 20.
15 to 20, yeah. I forget what the contract he signed for, but I think it was closer to the max, but still though, like if you can get a player under the max with Jared Allen's talent and potential, then like
because you know what Jared
Cavs
did
a great thing.
Game. Like he'll
like, exactly.
15 and 10 and really good defense.
2 blocks. Like so, he'll be a presence in the paint. No one wants to go in the paint with Jared Allen's there. So
yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next game. So I think it's tomorrow too. So tomorrow we're gonna have the Clippers facing off against who is it?
New Orleans Pelicans.
New Orleans Pelicans. So New Orleans won their game. Very exciting game. CJ went off in that game. And we know how good New Orleans is, but also Clippers, they almost beat Timberwolves. Patrick Beverly came up on them quick, and they lost that game, but they can still secure the 8th seed. So, and we know how good this Clippers team is. Obviously, we know they don't have Kawhi though, but they still have.
Still, you got Paul George. Like
just having Paul George, and they still have some good pieces in Kennard. And
Markieff Morris is there as well.
Reggie Jackson, right? We know
Reggie Jackson,
had a really good season. But Reggie Jackson, ever since he's come to the Clippers, he's starting to feel himself. 16 and 6.
16 and 5, something like that. Yeah.
So hey, really good. So Clippers definitely a very underrated team. But if you had to pick between these two teams, who do you think is winning that matchup?
I'm going Clippers, right? I low-key want the Pelicans to win, so the Clippers can low-key get a better pick and be better next year. But it's a whole another whole topic. But I honestly think the Clippers, are gonna win this game, right? Paul George and a bunch of shooters with some defense. That's a tough matchup. Even the last game when I was watching it, they only held Cat to 11 points the whole game, and he fouled out in the end of the game. If you I'm not gonna say you're gonna double team CJ McCollum, but you could throw another body at him, even just to make him tighter, right? Because the Clippers, they like fast break opportunities and they love shooting threes, right? So if both of those things are happening with the Clippers, it's really, really tough to beat them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think Clippers are winning. I know New Orleans are a really good team. Like CJ. Obviously we know Zion's still not back, and he's probably never gonna play this season yet. So
might not play next season.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Clippers are gonna win just off the fact that I can't see the Clippers not making the playoffs this year. You know, like there's already
weird,
one LA
right?
team that flopped.
Exactly.
And New Orleans, this team wasn't even, they didn't get CJ because they're like, oh, we're making the playoffs with CJ. They got CJ because I don't even know why. I still don't know why, but I just know they didn't get.
I think
CJ
it's for the future. I guess he's still relatively young, so they're trying to build on Zion.
They didn't get a 30-year-old guy, which is kind of crazy to say that he's 30 right now because we still remember CJ most improved player. You know,
most improved, that
type of guy. But hey, he's a vet now, so they didn't get a 30-year-old guy. Just so that, because even this year when they traded for him, they weren't that high in the seeding. They weren't expected to even be in the to make the playoffs. The fact that they're this close shows. But I think the Clippers are going to take care of New Orleans. I think it's pretty fair to think just off the matchup too. We know Paul George gets critiqued a lot, but everyone knows
he's a bucket, man.
He's a bucket, man.
He's a bucket.
He's a really good basketball player, and I think the Clippers are definitely gonna be able to hold in, and because the game against Minnesota, they're winning most of the game. They're up by I think as much as 16. So, and they kind of blew it a bit, but I think this game's different. I don't think the Pelicans they have a good team. The Pelicans.
The Clippers just have a lot more depth. They have a lot more bodies they can throw at them. Yeah. Pelicans have some good players. Valanciunas, CJ, Brandon Ingram. But other than that, Herbert Jones, you can't really compete with a pretty much bunch of role players and a superstar on the team, right? So it's gonna be tough.
So okay. So we both have the Clippers for this one. So now that we know actually, let's not go with this match. I was gonna go 1-8 matchup, but we don't even know about. So we
don't know it yet.
So we'll stay in the West though, and we'll go in the 2-7 matchup. This one we know is gonna happen. So it's the Timberwolves versus the Grizzlies, two really really young teams.
Yeah.
Two up and coming teams, and then you have it's two different versions of a rebuild. You have a very successful rebuild. You have a very not as successful.
It's good. You have a lot of talent. It's just that it's a slow burner, as you should say.
Very slow. Because even as we know, the Timberwolves just introduced this matchup. The Timberwolves, obviously, since Kevin Garnett left, basically, or even before Kevin Garnett, they're never that good, right? So,
you can say when Jimmy Butler left,
exactly. So we can go that far, but it started with Ricky Rubio. Right, remember those days, and they trade him. And
Kevin Love,
right? And then we're going in time, and then they draft Andrew Wiggins, they draft Karl Anthony Towns, very good. And then obviously they got Jimmy Butler, and they started picking up, and then they made the playoffs that 1 year, and then never made the playoffs since.
Got traded the next season.
Exactly, and then now there's just a bunch of really bad picks that held them back, but the pick that really helped them out this year was. It was Anthony Edwards pick. Anthony Edwards, right now he's still not a franchise player, but people see that potential, and he's been he's
a stud.
Bucket. If you watch him play,
he's a stud.
So right now they're building around Cat, who's 25, 26. Don't forget D'Angelo Russell, who's also 25, 26, right? Anthony Edwards, who's 20 years old, absolute
21,
bucket.
Something like that.
Exactly. So, and for me with the Timberwolves is, I don't know how good their defensive game is, because obviously if you look at D'Angelo Russell, Cat, they're not the best defenders. Even Anthony, we're not too sure, but obviously we know that they got Patrick Beverly, who
my God, if you watch that game, you know how much he values to that team. So
exactly. So the addition of Patrick Beverly really changed his team, and as you can see, they beat the Clippers, and
Yeah.
it looked like they won the championship. But but now they
As you
got
really
faced
had a few Bud Lights after. Yeah.
literally. So but now they got to face the Grizzlies, who, as we know, the Grizzlies this season have been really
Wow.
good.
Just
Even without Jaw, I think Jaw missed 22 games, and they won 20 of those 22 games. They went crazy even when Jaw was injured.
doesn't make
So,
sense.
and if you look at the youth on this team, I think the oldest player on the team is or like on their starting lineup is Kyle Anderson, who's like 28, who's pretty young. But everyone else is like
Steven Adams. No,
no, but I don't think he's on the starting lineup. Like
I think Steven Adams is
is it
starting.
not
I think he's
Jaren
the center.
Jackson? Is Jaren Jackson?
I think Jaren's at the 4, or Steven's at the 5.
Okay. Because I thought it was I thought it was Brendan. No, I think it's Brendan Clark at the 4, and then they put Jaren at the 5. But whatever. But
Oh, I could be mistaken.
But maybe it was just a game that I watched that.
Maybe.
But just to say they have a really young team, and obviously, as you said, they have Steven Adams, who they acquired and is a very good center for them, backup for when he starts. Right, you know how reliable it can be, and just having Jaw, you have Desmond Bain, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson, right? Even Dwayne
Deontay Melton.
Not Dwayne. Yeah, Deontay Melton. So
Dwayne Desmond.
No, yeah. So just to show this team is really good.
Yeah.
And this year they're one of the best teams in the league. Probably I think the second best team in the league behind the
behind
Suns.
The Suns. Yeah.
Not sure. Yeah. So they're the second best team in the league, which just shows. And hey, who would you have in this matchup? Well, it's pretty good, but you just
see, I think it's gonna be respectful, and Memphis is gonna gentleman sweep them. So it's gonna be. I have Grizzlies in 5, right?
Okay.
The matchups work out because you have Jaw, who can attack the basket whenever, and Cast out the greatest rim protector. So Jaw's gonna be able to get in there pretty much as when he wants to, right? And then you just have a bunch of shooters, right? Desmond Bain, Deontay Melton. Who else? Who else do they have? Dylan Brooks, right? So they got a bunch of guards.
I forgot about Dylan Brooks, yeah.
Bunch of guys who can create for themselves, and the chemistry is maybe 110% right now. Brooklyn. They love playing with each other. They love. They're like, honestly, like the Grizzlies are honestly outside the Raptors are my favorite team to watch this year. Right? They're just so much fun with that athleticism. Even the post games, right? Like they take squad pictures after like W's. So like. Yeah. Just having that young core and them just enjoying basketball is and they're playing amazing basketball, right? So I would love to see Memphis win, and I think they're gonna win in 5.
Okay. So I might give them. I think Memphis is gonna win in 5 too. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not trying to copy here. I'm just going off what you said a bit. It's just, so I was gonna say
the Wolves are gonna win 1 at home.
Exactly. So I was gonna say 6, but from what Memphis showed this year without Jaw, especially.
No.
And then you add Jaw, who's a 27 point per game guy, and obviously a very get a bucket. Like I'm telling you, Jaw can he can get a bucket whenever, man. Like even last year in the Utah Jazz series, I could see flashes. Like when Jaw went up, I got scared every single time. Like, this guy would go up, get a floater. Like you could not stop. You could not stop. And this guy has so many moves. He's so athletic, and he's just so he's so fun to watch, So and it's only his 3rd year in the NBA, and he's only 22, which is crazy to think.
Yeah,
because there's so much potential there, and obviously it's nice because I love watching these players go from in a franchise not a dead franchise, but a smaller franchise, right?
Smaller market
franchise, right? And just explode there because those are really good for the NBA when the NBA can expand, to especially a city like Memphis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even a bunch of times people have been talking about Memphis relocating because they don't have a lot of fans, whatever. But you got Jaw there, they're going crazy. So, I think Memphis is gonna be able to win in 5 or 6. I'll give them 1 or 2 games to Minnesota because of Cat, because of D'Angelo Russell, because of Anthony Edwards.
They're still a good team. I wouldn't be surprised if the Wolves take 1 or 2 games.
And I think this team they match up pretty well. I'm expecting them to put Patrick Beverly on John Morant, right? Just be a pest on him, So, I just think it's gonna be a really fun series to watch. Both teams aren't, well, especially Minnesota. They're not that great defensively, but Memphis, especially with a big like Jaren Jackson who can shoot on the
Oh my
perimeter.
God.
Really
I love
good.
Jaren Jackson. I love Jaren Jackson.
Great perimeter. Like, this guy really does have a weak. Like his biggest weakness would probably be his strength. Like he's probably not, but you also have Steven Adams, right? This guy can defend the perimeter. He can defend the post. He can play in the perimeter. He can shoot. He can play in the post. You know,
You can dunk on people. Like this guy can do everything.
He's got everything. So that's why, even when like when he got drafted, that's why it's like even when he was at Michigan or Michigan State, sorry, he was at Michigan State. He averaged like 10 points, but he went fourth overall just because of his athleticism, his wingspan, and like
the raw talent. Just
exactly.
There.
And so that's why Memphis, and just wait a couple. This team is so good. They're so fun to watch. So I'm gonna go Memphis in this one as well. I want to move on to the next one because I feel like we're going on we're talking a little bit too much here about these matchups. But the second matchup we can go Warriors and Nuggets. So this is a really good matchup, a 3-6 matchup. But we know, which is kind of crazy because we know how good the Nuggets are, right? The Nuggets are always at the top. Usually they always make the playoffs, especially with Jokic. They have the MVP favorite in Jokic this year.
My MVP at least.
Yeah, exactly. So as always, you can start explaining why who you think is going to win and why.
See, I think this is probably the most interesting matchup of the first round in the West, right? So you have Jokic, who's pretty much a walking triple-double, averaging 30 points and 15 assists, right? So with that, Jokic can carry any team, right? But see, that's the crazy thing because you also have Draymond Green on the other side with the Warriors. And you also have Curry and Clay, which is going to be a tough matchup. I don't think the roster right now of the Nuggets with Jamal and Michael Porter out can sustain an offense and defense of the Golden State Warriors, right? There's just too much firepower. I love Jokic. If his other players were healthy, this would be a more competing series, but give me the Warriors in 6. Honestly, give me the Warriors in 6. I think Jokic will probably drop 50, 20, and 10 one game, but over a seven game series, I think the Warriors got it in the bag easy.
Okay, that's pretty fair. Sorry about that. I had to charge my laptop, but so yeah. Okay, you have Warrior and you said 6?
Yeah, Warriors in 6.
Okay, I think. Okay, I don't want to go with Nuggets here because obviously we know Warriors how good they are, especially this season. But hey, the Nuggets, man, especially I feel like Nuggets are a bad matchup for Warriors too. I find because who's gonna guard Jokic, right? Well, first of all, Jokic's unguardable. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no one can guard
Second
Jokic.
of all,
same thing with Embiid, like
exactly. Like, even when Utah was matched up against the Nuggets, we threw Rudy, who's probably one of the best defenders of our generation, right? And he could barely stop Jokic. 13
my bad.
There's not a lot of those, you know.
My bad.
So, Jokic, I don't know who's being able to guard Jokic, but obviously, other than Jokic, they have Jokic, Aaron Gordon. We know Jamal's not back. I don't think Michael Porter's. I don't believe Michael.
I think he's rolled out for the playoffs.
But yeah, so I don't know if Jokic by himself will be able to. If they had Jamal, it would probably be a different story. But I don't know about Jokic by himself. But I still think Jokic, just having Jokic, that wins you 2 to 3 games, right?
Exactly. So, it could go to game 7.
Exactly. So
there's no help on the Nuggets team.
I would go. I'd have to say Warriors in 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say Warriors.
Think about it though, because Zhang, with the Nuggets, who's their second option outside of Jokic? Aaron Gordon.
But Aaron Gordon's like 15 points per game, and he's
barely. He's like 13 this season. Exactly. So just that being said, it's gonna be tough for Jokic to get out of the series.
Exactly. So I'll give them 3 games that I think they can win just because of Jokic, right? So, but still, because we know this Warriors team is really good, right? Steph Curry's back on his stuff. Clay's not as good as he was before,
but he's still really good. Klay Thompson.
You still got Andrew Wiggins was an all-star starter.
I forgot about Andrew Wiggins. Wow.
Well, all-star. I still can't believe.
Yeah, all-star star. I keep forgetting that happened.
Still crazy to think about. But hey, this is a really good Warriors team. Obviously we know how well coached they are, right? With Steve Kerr. But also, so are the Nuggets with Mike Malone. So
true.
True. I'll say Warriors in 7. You said Warriors in 6.
Yeah.
Pretty similar so far in who we have. Okay, so let's move on to the next one.
Oof.
This one, it might be more. Hey, I'm not gonna say I'm a bias. I'm biased, but let's just say the Mavs against the Jazz.
Yeah.
Before we even start analyzing, Luka is ruled out for Game 1, so you got
True.
to take that into consideration. And as always, if you want to start off with,
Yeah. Luka's injured. There's no timetable when he's coming back, so that's a big drop off for the Mavs. If Luka, see, that's the thing. Like, if Luka can be healthy for Game 1, it could be a change of the series. But right now, it doesn't even seem like he's gonna be there for Game 1 or 2. So, with that being said, I have Jazz in 7. Jazz are just fundamentally sound. They've been to the playoffs. They know what they want. They're eager to get out of the second round. Like, I think Jazz have a chip on their shoulder this season, right? Maybe they've been a bit tired, a little bit of tatty injuries there and there during the season. But if they can have a full, healthy roster by come playoff time, honestly, not switch. I'm going to put Jazz in 6. Jazz in 6, because if you don't have Luka Doncic, then you really have no chance. Like, it's just plain and simple as that.
Exactly. And what's interesting for me is I still don't understand why Mavs got rid of Kristaps. I think they got
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Spencer Dinwiddie. Well, we know Spencer's good, but still kind of crazy.
He's been playing really well.
Yeah, he's been hitting some clutch shots, but it's still crazy to me that they traded away Kristaps, because I thought Kristaps Luka, like, that's, you can't get better than that, but I guess not.
I think there's a little tension going on there though.
Exactly, but I think a player that went underrated for the Mavs this year is Jalen Brunson, who had actually a really good season. Yeah. But the thing with the Mavs is I don't know if they can't add a second piece, Luka is gonna keep losing the first round. I think he's been out of the first round ever since he joined the NBA. You know, first round exit.
No, I mean playoff appearance. He hasn't made it on the first round. Yeah.
I know last year he went to Game 7, or 2 years ago, or last year I think he went to Game 7 with the Clippers. Remember?
Or was it the bubble season? He went to Game 7.
The bubble season. Yeah, I think
it was one of. I know. I just know he had a crazy game winner.
Okay, yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. He had a really good game winner, and they went to Game 7, but they lost. So, just Luka will win you 2 games already, right? Because we know how good Luka is. But obviously, don't sleep on the Jazz, man. Like, the Jazz still,
they're good.
Always,
they're a good team.
One of the best defensive team in the league. Always top 3. Offensively, they're still a really good team. I still wish that Rudy got implemented a bit more in our offense. It still frustrates me because realistically, Rudy 71%. He has the best field goal percentage in the entire league, and I still don't think he gets enough. This guy gets 8 shots a game. Like, you can't have your guy getting, but 8 shots a game and he's scoring like 15 points a game, like that, which is kind of crazy.
He shoots what, 70% from the field, something like that.
Exactly. So you give this guy like 12 shots, this guy's averaging 20 points. So
true.
Just that efficiency. Imagine just you give the ball to, and we know how good pick and roll is. Imagine someone on your team, all you gotta do is give him the ball, like you give him 8 to like 12 shots, like 8 shots, and this guy gets you 15. Like, you know the efficiency on that, man. Like,
no one's guarding Rudy Gobert on the Mavs.
Exactly, but
no one can. Like,
they have Powell,
Dwight Powell.
Yeah,
Rudy Gobert's 7'2". Dwight Powell's like 6'9".
Yeah, I know exactly.
Rudy Gobert is getting every offensive rebound possible and dunking on that team.
Exactly, and I find the Jazz do really well, especially against a team with not a good center. Really,
yeah,
the Jazz do really well because Rudy gets to eat. You know, so and the thing is, like, especially defensively, especially they don't have a stretch 5, so that already will help us a lot for the Jazz.
Yeah, they got rid of Kristaps.
Exactly. So I still think the Dallas are a good team. Do they still have Tim Hardaway? I think they still have Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, he might be injured though.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% on that.
So I'm expecting the Jazz to steal a home game because we're away actually. So the first game, Doncic's not there. I'm expecting the Jazz to win, and then maybe you lose the next home game and then win back to back. So I'm gonna say Jazz in 6. Might be a bit biased in that in what I'm saying, but I do believe the Jazz will be able to make it out of the first round. We've been able to make it out of the first round for a couple of years now. Like the only thing, especially before, was Houston what kept stopping us, and like we always meet these good teams, and we've never
Yeah.
been. But I think this year we'll be
Well, I said
fine.
Jazz in 6.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll say Jazz in 6, and
Mm-hmm.
can
Yeah.
you hear me? Because my thing's a bit frozen. If you've been on the Chtib and Zhang show, you know my screen tends to freeze. Can you still hear me?
There you go. Yeah, I'm the.
Okay, so continue the recording. Sorry about if you've been a watcher of the Chtib and Zhang show, you know
Technical
yeah,
difficulties.
technical difficulties. It happened very often, but it happened again. So we both have Jazz winning in either 6 or 7, right? So talking about Jazz. So we'll go over the Sun series quickly.
Mhm.
We don't know who the Suns are playing yet, but I'll go quickly. I think the Suns are gonna be able to win their first round matchup.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to make it really far.
Bring out the broom, Zhang. Bring out the broom.
Exactly. Whatever team comes up, the Suns are so good this year. I love
It
what they've
doesn't
been
make
able
sense.
to
They're
build,
amazing.
especially with
Yeah.
Monty Williams as their coach. Very good coach. He's been able to show that. I just love everything about the Suns, and especially, oh, you gotta give your credit to Devin Booker, right? As always, he's a scorer on the top.
Yeah.
But Chris Paul, man, like every single team,
X factor.
every
X
single
factor.
team, every single team, man. Like ever since I've been an NBA fan, every single team he's been on has always been good. Every time he leaves the team, they start doing that. Every time he joins the
Yep.
team, they start doing really good. How many times is he gonna have to prove that? If you just look in last 5 years, he left the Clippers. Clippers been after after he left
One
they're
Kawhi
trying-
got there, I
exactly.
guess.
He joins Houston. If he didn't get injured, they make the finals basically. So
Yeah.
they probably win
Legit.
the chip basically if he doesn't get injured, right? And then after he joins OKC, what did he do? What does he do in OKC? They almost beat Houston in a game 7, a close game 7. They were supposed to be the worst team in the league that year. So then leave
Yeah.
and then joins the Suns, who have been a joke for the last 8 years to 10 years before that.
Ever since Steve Nash left, really.
Exactly. Joins that team, makes the finals. Like, come on. You just got to give credit where credit's due. But yeah, so
Yep.
I'll have the Suns winning. I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to talk about quickly, but
I mean, I can talk about it quickly. Like, it's a matchup nightmare for whoever's gonna be the 8 seed, right?
exactly.
They got too many bodies. Chris Paul just toys with people at this point. Like, they got Booker on the other side, almost gonna average 30. So they want to go back to the finals. They want to win a chip. So Suns are gonna demolish whoever the 8 seed is.
Exactly. And at this point, like, even their depth has been underrated. Like, if you think about it, you
Yeah.
have Cameron, what's
He had a
Cameron
game
Johnson
winner this season.
hitting game
Like,
winners, like crazy winners, and even their depth, like their backup, you can throw Cameron Payne out there and he'll do his job.
Yeah. You have JaVale McGee giving you
JaVale
10 and 10 off the
exactly.
bench.
And
Like,
you still have Jay Crowder, who's a playoff guy. Like, this team has been built for the playoffs too.
Yeah.
They have grit, they have talent, they have guys that can score in the clutch. They have really good defending. Don't forget Mikal Bridges, right? So just all that, I think Suns are gonna be good. But let's move on to the East. So the East, we talked about the playing round for the 8 seed. We'll go over it quick. The 1-8. So the Heat actually have the first seed. I think personally, I think the Heat are maybe not a sweep like the Suns because they haven't been that dominant. But I still believe with the talent they have on the team, they have if you think they have so much talent, a lot of injuries though. But with the talent they have, the coaching, Eric Spoelstra, and the leadership like Udonis has them, I think they'll be able to win the first round pretty easily, even if it's Atlanta or Cleveland.
Yeah, there's no really question. Like, I got the Heat in 5, even if it's Atlanta or the Cavs, right?
Yeah.
Both the teams could steal one game because the Heat do sometimes a little bit of friction, but that friction just makes them want to compete more. So the Heat have veterans. They have Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, who's going to be 6th man of the year. Oladipo's coming back healthy. Like, they have bodies, right? Yeah. So if the Heat lose, then it's too bad on them, right?
Yeah. So yeah, just looking at this Heat team, man, like this team is built for the playoffs. You want a center like Adebayo on your team. You want a point guard like Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
And
veteran leadership.
Exactly. And Jimmy Butler, we know he's not a superstar, but he's a star. He's a 20+ point, especially in the playoffs. He shows up. Great defender,
Especially
great
in the
two-way,
playoffs.
great leader. And then
Yeah.
you have a sixth man of the year, most likely in Tyler Hero, who basically drops 20 points a game. So on very good efficiency.
Mhm.
So this seems really good. And they have some really good depth pieces. A bunch of dudes. I don't even know what their names are, but I know they have a lot of good shooters. You can't forget Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
I always forget
What's his name? Strude. Marquis Strude.
Yes. It's true. Like the
Um,
shooter, no? Or
yeah. What's his
I
first
always
name?
forget.
I keep
I always forget
forgetting.
his name, but yeah, him. So
Yeah.
this Heat team, they're made for the playoffs. I think they're gonna make a big push. But let's move on to the 2-7 matchup.
Oh my God, we have a good one here.
So just to introduce this matchup, so the Nets, they actually have the 7th seed, which is kind of crazy because we know now they're basically a little healthier. They'll have, I think, Kyrie and KD back for the playoffs, I believe. But now they got to go up against the Celtics, who at the beginning of the year or most of the season they're down bad, and then they started going on stretch to
And
get
they're
that
losing
second
record
seed.
at one point.
Exactly. So I don't know if it was worth it to get that second seed now that they got face the Nets in the first round. But
Yeah.
if you want to start talking about this matchup, you can go ahead.
See, the Nets have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and Boston has Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. I think that's really what it comes to, right? What two duos will play better? On paper, it should be Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving because they're bona fide all-stars, champions. They've done everything in the league. But just having that Boston grit and the run they've been on since the post-All-Star break, like Boston arguably looks like the best team in the league at the moment, right? You have, but Robert Williams, that's a tough L with a meniscus injury.
Yeah.
But you still have DPOY contention, Marcus Smart, who's probably going to guard Kyrie. You have a bunch of role players. You still have Al Horford, who's 36, and it's still one of the best all-around centers in the league, right? Yeah. So if Boston, this is the key for Boston. If Boston can get stops, they will win this series. They got to get stops. They got to get stops.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, I don't think the Celtics are able to pull through just because I think just having KD on your team, you can win, especially against the Celtics team.
Yes,
I don't know. I think Kyrie is gonna be able to play most of the games. I'm not sure. You never know with those, but I
think he should be able to.
Yeah,
I think he's able to play all games.
Just having KD
except he comes to Canada.
Exactly, and we know that. I don't think Ben Simmons is gonna be able to play in this series though. But
he said, if it go, he might be able to come back for the home stretch. Okay, so he'll miss the first 2 games in Boston, but he might be able to play in the 3-4 games.
So yeah, the main thing with this Nets team is really they've never been able to get chemistry. They never get their players together. Even when they had Harden, Kyrie, and KD, they never. I think those guys had like 15 games played together. Like they're not able to get
never.
So I really like this Nets team. Even their main thing is I believe is at center. Obviously we know that Al Horford is a really good center, but for the Nets, they have Claxton, who's too small for a center. Like he's really good, but he's too skinny. He's not strong enough. But they also have Drummond, who we know is really strong. But Drummond it's just he's a good rebound, but he's not a good defender really.
And he's lazy. He's big. Exactly. He doesn't go back on defense. Like he'll get you offensive rebounds and put back dunks.
Exactly.
It's just that are you gonna get the hustle on the defensive end, right?
Exactly, and I think that's the main thing in the playoffs. Those don't go unnoticed because in the playoffs, like having
any possession counts. Every possession counts.
So I think just having KD, I think the Nets are gonna be able to win. But I'm very interested to see because don't forget, Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches in the league. He knows how to, and he's had this team for a while, especially with Al Horford back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's had Marcus Smart, he's had Jalen Brown, they know how to play together. So I think that's what the main thing is gonna be. It's gonna be the Boston strategy. So their chemistry against the Nets star power. So I think it's a really good matchup, and it's pretty surprising that we get to see this in the first round, but it's happening. It's here. Can't do much about it, but I'll give me Nets in 7.
See, I have Celtics in 7. I think with the home court advantage and just having more depth and more I don't want to say talent, but I think Boston has a deeper team that can compete in the playoffs.
Okay.
So give me Boston in 7.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. They're a second seed for a reason, right? So
Exactly.
Let's move on to the next matchup. So we have the Bucks against the Bulls. First round matchup. This is kind of crazy. Just to introduce it before you start talking about it. We have the champions, right? So we can call them the champions against this Bulls team who they got DeMar, they have Zach LaVine, they have Vucevic, right? Lonzo's not coming back. I don't know if
after the season,
back, but yeah,
Caruso's healthy. He's gonna play in the playoffs.
So Caruso's back. Very good team. DeRozan made in clutch shots. He's been really good, almost basically MVP candidate the whole year. Right? The main thing for this Bulls team is that I think they don't win against plus 500. They don't win against playoff teams. Their record against playoff teams is terrible. So
they're awful.
Imagine you're not good against playoff teams, and now you gotta play the reigning champs. So and this reigning champs team is really good. They have
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Exactly. What else can you add to that?
They're a third seed, but man, 51 and 31, still a really good team. Don't let the seeding fool you. They're still one of, in my opinion, I still think they're the best team. They're them and the Suns, right? And just obviously you have Giannis. I think the main matchup in here is you meet most of the series with the Bucks is this: can you stop Giannis, and are you going to be able to score a lot? So I think. Well, I'll let you go first, but I'll tell you my prediction first. I think Bucks are going to win in 6. I still think Bulls are a really good team, and they'll be able to win 2 games. But I think the Bucks team with Giannis and just everything around it, I think Bucks got it.
I can't agree more. I think Bucks got it as well. It's kind of a mismatched nightmare for the Bulls, right? You have Giannis is in the paint, who's going to bully Vucevic. Same thing with Brook Lopez. 2 big bodies who are going to push him around, make him feel uncomfortable. And you also have, honestly, arguably the best perimeter defender in the league in Jrue Holiday, who is going to be shutting down DeMar and LaVine, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for the Bulls to win. I think the Bulls will get 1 game at home, either be game 3 or 4. But no, I think the Bucks are going to gentleman sweep them in style.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, the main thing is either. So that's why I'm giving them 1 or 2 games right to the Bulls, just because you have DeMar, who's so good. We know how good, and especially Zach LaVine, 2 All-Stars, right? So just from those 2 guys, I think the Bulls will be fine. But I still believe they're gonna lose. So now that we have that matchup out of the way, we have a very intriguing matchup here.
Oh God!
If you want, this is a matchup that you know very well. It probably spans back to 2019 series 2. If you want to introduce it, I'll let you go ahead and introduce the matchup.
So the 4-5 seed, if you don't know right now in the Eastern Conference Finals, is the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Toronto Raptors. Now, I think this is the most intriguing first-round matchup of the playoffs, right? This is a flip coin toss, in my opinion. This can go either way. I'll give Philly's side first. Yeah. You have Joel Embiid. No one can guard him. It's going to be the biggest mismatch for the Raptors. It's just that, are you going to get a good James Harden, or are you going to get a washed up James Harden? That is the biggest X factor for Philadelphia. If James Harden can lead the second unit when Embiid's on the bench, because I saw this stat is since 2019, Philadelphia, Joel Embiid has a plus 15 box plus minus when he's on the floor, but when he's on the bench, Philly has a minus 17. So if you have Joel Embiid on the floor, you're going to win. But the key for Philly is that you got to win when he's on the bench, when he's getting his rest. Because you can't play Joel Embiid 48 minutes. He's going to be huffing and puffing. They're going to send double teams. They're going to make his life difficult. So you need James Harden, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey to play well. You have to have a second superstar to beat the Raptors. But to get my Raptors point, we have a bunch of 6'9" guys. We just can crawl. Like Nick Nurse, I was watching the reporter today. Nick Nurse said it's going to be a bloodbath, right? It's going to be low-scoring games. close games. It's not going to be any blowouts. It's going to be head-to-head battle. Who's going to win those second chance opportunities? And I honestly think that the Raptors can pull out the series. It really just depends on if James Harden wants to play like James Harden. So if I had to give my preview on this, I'm saying Raptors in 7.
Okay, very interesting. I don't know which direction to go here because obviously we know the 4-5 matchup is always very close, right? Especially this one.
Yep.
You have what? Maybe not MVP, but second in the running.
Second runner-up, yeah.
Runner-up in Joel Embiid, who's having an amazing season. Probably going to lead
Led the league in scoring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's tough to say because for me is, as you said, Toronto has a bunch of big guys, right? But who are they going to put on Joel Embiid? You know, like
Scotty Barnes. I don't know.
172. Like
yeah,
so
like
good.
I'm saying, like Embiid will win you those minutes. It's all about if the other players can win you those minutes as well, right? Like at Doc Rivers, you don't want to play Joel Embiid play 48 minutes a game, even though you might have to. But he's gonna get tired. He's gonna make bad decisions. So really, you got to have James Harden who wants to play like James Harden if he wants to.
Exactly, and there's one person that knows Joel Embiid pretty well. I think is Nick Nurse. Obviously, they don't have Marc Gasol this year, which is actually we know how crucial Marc Gasol was in that championship, right? Especially now. So for me, is the main thing is can you stop Joel Embiid? And I can't really see the Raptors being able to slow him down or like I don't know who you're gonna put. Who do you guys usually put on Joel Embiid? Like
it's gonna be a lot of different matchups. Like Thaddeus Young might take him, Precious Achiuwa might take him, Siakam might take him, Ken Burch. It's just gonna be a bunch of switches. He's gonna get to his spots. You're gonna see a triple team coming, and you're gonna have to rely on the other players to do something.
Okay, and
so
and
it's
we know with the Raptors, especially in the playoffs. Well, when they're not facing LeBron, they're a really good playoff team, right?
They won a championship because of it.
Exactly. So for me, it's gonna be tough because Philly, they just got Harden. He's been on and off. So, but we know how good Harden is. So I think I want to say Philly in 7, but I want Toronto to win. I'd rather see Toronto win.
See, I can see that happen too. Like, I'm not disappointed with that. Like, Philly is the better team. They have 2 superstars. We have an all-star in Fred VanVleet who hasn't been playing like one, but we also have Pascal, post-all-star break, who's been playing like an all-NBA player. So Philly should win this matchup, but it's just that Raptors are in their head. They're in their head, live rent-free. So it's gonna be a really interesting series, but I'm gonna stick with my gut, and I'm gonna get Raptors in 7.
Okay. You have Raptors. Oh, you know what? I'll switch out. I'll go Raptors.
Yeah,
I really want the Raptors to win.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for Philly because like obviously like even especially last year too, they're supposed to be Atlanta and they choked, right? So
exactly.
Give me Raptors in 7. With that being said, that does conclude our NBA playoff video. We actually have all the same winners for each matchup.
Practically, yeah.
So let's see if that's gonna happen. Thank you so much, Gabe, for coming on and talking about
anytime. Love it. I love it.
The NBA playoffs. We'll probably have you on again once the playoffs gets a little deeper, and we'll be able to talk about him a bit more in our predictions and maybe what's gonna happen. Definitely a really good playoffs. Obviously, NBA playoffs never disappoint. It's always very interesting. There's gonna be a lot of obviously every game counts a bit more. Yep. You can already see the play-in. There's already a lot of. It's already a very exciting game. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you made it this far, I think, or no, is this our first episode without? But hey, interesting episode.
It could be. Put it in the history books.
Exactly. Let us know if you like this type of stuff. If like we get a replacement, if one of us can't make it, if you like this type of stuff. But thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.